All right, I am trying again on today's live stream. Of course, on my very first live stream on YouTube, I have a technical glitch. And unfortunately, if you guys had joined me on the inaugural link, you hopefully would catch this one instead. I'm just going to add the new link over to the last link so that anyone that might be on the last link could be joining me. But my huge apologies for a little bit of a glitch today that unfortunately got us a little bit late into the stream. But hey, better to just go live and be imperfect and not let technology ruin your day. Every time we do anything new, something is bound to happen that doesn't always work out exactly as how you want it to be. And today is a great example of that, but we're going to go with it anyway. And just give me just a short minute here just to make sure that I'm posting it and making sure that people have the same link right now to come join me. And we're going to begin. And you can obviously be watching the replay of this as well if you have to jump off at all. So this is something I would like to do a lot more often in this community on my YouTube channel. If you guys are new here or you've been part of my channel, you know that I release a few videos every month to help people go from employee to entrepreneur and really start a meaningful business that they love, that's designed from their strengths, their values, and their personality. And one of the new things I want to start doing more often every single month is to be live and actually be able to have a meaningful conversation with you all about what that looks like in the transition from your corporate career to reinventing and redesigning the way that you want to live and work, and teach you a few more things here and be more intimate in the way that we learn together. So if you are joining me live, pop into the chat box and tell me your name, tell me where you're from, maybe a little snippet about where you're at the moment in the stage of whether you're dreaming about a business, you're starting a business, or you're growing a business, and what you would love to learn so that gives me sort of, future ideas for content that can support you in making those choices for yourself. So today's topic is all about the 4 keys to starting your dream business. And, a lot of people that I talk to that are in that contemplation mode, or even they might have started a business, but perhaps no traction has been made. They kind of keep running in circles about what this really looks like for them, and maybe procrastinating or feeling overwhelmed in what they have to do to launch a thriving business. And so what I want to talk about today is really what can get in the way of starting your business. And very likely you have been in overlearning mode. You've probably read a lot of books, articles, attended trainings, maybe even live streams like this in order to educate yourself on the how-tos of business. But one of my beliefs is that there's a human behind the business, and the human is you. And if we don't, uncomplicate this process for you, if we don't simplify the way that you start a business without that misconception of what you think you have to do versus what you want to do, it's very unlikely you'll feel motivated to actually start a business at all. So today's chat we're going to have together is really to kind of bust some of those myths about what it takes, what are the necessary steps to start a business, and hopefully from what you walk away with today is going to support you in just thinking in simpler ways and not overcomplicating things that get in your way and become obstacles to you starting this business that's going to, help you build the freedom or that version of freedom that you really, really want in your life. So my question for you to start is, what would you like to imagine for 2021? And all of us have experienced such big changes going through, the uncertainty of 2020. But this past year has also opened our eyes to possibilities that are beyond conventional careers, right? Even the workplaces are starting to adapt to how we might be living and working, and potentially that people, if they have autonomy over their time, if they have more flexible ways of earning a living, maybe there could be also happier people and happier people produce just better work, right? And you might be starting to think about that yourself, right? About what's been important to you, right? You might have opened up a bit of your mind to exploring new ways to live and work that you never had the opportunity to do before until the pandemic sort of came and you started to, start to spend time at home, start to have time for your family, or even just leisurely activities like having a walk at lunchtime and not having to be back at the top of the clock, right? All these things you've been gathering information about the ingredients of what is the environment and the sort of ambiance you want to do good work, but also that the space of how you do it, how you might manage your own time might be something that you might want to have more autonomy over. So we're going to talk about what steps you can take today to really start crafting the work you love and make a living beyond the 9 to 5, construction of what we have only been taught that this is the only way to earn a living. So again, if you're new here and new to the channel, to be participate in live streams like this, and also any of my monthly videos, I do it with corporate escape stories of interviewing people who've done it, giving you videos on sort of how to start meaningful businesses. Hit the subscribe and the notification bell button that's underneath this video so that you can get notified whenever I go live or produce new content for this channel. And one of the things that have led me to talk about this topic today was also as I was creating a really awesome event that's going to be happening next week called the Create Your Dream Business Challenge. And if you haven't signed up for that yet, there is a link in the descriptions of this video that will lead you to register for free. And basically, you get to spend 5 free days with me building your dream business intentionally, brick by brick, so that you have very secure foundations, that you have actually a real business that's designed with the intention of who you are and your strengths and your values and your personality type. You're building a business that you want to keep and you're excited to launch rather than, throwing darts in the dark and hoping something works for you. So if that is something that is of a curiosity for you, definitely join me for next week's Create My Dream Business Challenge, because we're going to be digging even further. And it's going to be some fun and exciting ways of how we're going to do that. And you get some free coaching from me to be able to start that dream business that you've been waiting to start maybe for many, many years. So a quick little snippet about who I am in case you're new here. I'm Lydia Lee. Hopefully you do know a bit about my work. I am a work reinvention coach and a solopreneur business strategist. So I am someone that supports people to take the next steps in transitioning from their corporate careers to independent businesses and careers. But the approach that we do it in is that we're always making sure that we're designing what you offer, how you market, how you even create the model of your business that is going to be in line with your strengths, your genius zone, I call it, right? What you care about in your work and how you want to spread that vision for your work. That's going to ensure that you're building a business that feels like you and not something of a Frankenstein business that you may not actually really want to work on and not feel inspired, right, to keep working on. So what I'm going to talk about today really comes a lot from the philosophies of what I teach my clients and my students when they transition from their careers into entrepreneurship. And a lot of it is very holistic. A lot of it is very human. And I hope that that's the seed that I get to plant for you today. Okay. All right. So first key to determining how to start your dream business is thinking about the work you want to do, right? And the first key is really to take tinier steps to define the work you want to do. I believe there's a lot of misconception about, purposeful work and what's the work we're meant to do with our lives. It is such a large question to answer. What is our purpose? And for me, purpose is an experience that you create. Purpose comes from what is right now for you to be sharing and how you impact other people. Whatever business you might end up starting today may not be your forever business. And that is the one thing that I always try to repeat all the time to my clients, because there's a sense of perfectionism that we always have that is the hurdle from us to start at all, is that we're waiting for this sort of perfect idea to fall into our laps before we start anything at all. And so how do we take this tiny step to define the work we want to do? Well, the first thing is to know thyself, right? Knowing how you're built knowing what hasn't worked for you in your work life, in your career. It is always easier to know what we don't want than to know what we do want. So when you're thinking about what is that next chapter for the work that I want to do, it's really hard to imagine what that looks like, especially if you haven't been in the vicinity of that kind of work. But what you have been in the reality of is experience of knowing and sorting through your experience in your corporate career or whatever career you have at the moment, of what has been working, what has been pulling you to do that great work, and what areas of work isn't working for you, doesn't work for your personality type, doesn't work for the next chapter of goals that you have for your body of work. And there are things possibly that you enjoy and don't enjoy in your role at the moment. Right? There's no need to throw the baby out of the bathwater, so to speak, right? Sometimes when we look at our careers, whether you've been a doctor, a lawyer, whatever is your vocation, it can be easy when you've been tainted by bad bosses, horrible office politics, and things that don't work well for your live-work balance to come into the statement of, I just don't ever want to be that person. I don't want to be a lawyer anymore. I don't ever want to be a doctor anymore. But sometimes there are little insights in actually your role to play in your vocation, that if you could have the autonomy to choose how you showcase that work, how you share that work, what piece of the puzzle of this whole role of vocation that you've spent many, many years perfecting, you may not want to do all of it, but you might want to do a piece of it that could be more meaningful for you if you had the control, right, to create a job for yourself. If you could write that job description, you might be a little happier and not have to give up all the education you've done, all the experience that you've already accumulated over the years, and get real creative in how you reimagine and reinvent that work to be purposeful for you. That is actually the whole point of entrepreneurship, is that you get to sit at the driver's seat, right, of your career, and you get to define what that job role looks like. You get to define what problems you want to solve. You get to define who you want to help. And you get to define the scope of work and the boundaries of the work that you truly want to do. But in order to have that control, you have to know thyself. You have to know what you like, what you don't like, what are areas of work that you weren't maybe allowed to do more of at your job because there were just terms and conditions and SOPs that you had to follow. But if it was up to you, perhaps you might have done it differently. And taking that stock, taking inventory of your jobs, taking inventory of your experience can start to potentially show you some themes and show you where might be the thread that has potentially even binded some of your job roles together. Like if your resume looks like mine, where it can, I was in multiple industries when I was in the corporate field, from publishing to marketing to hospitality to leadership roles, right? And they all seem different on my resume. But when I actually look at the areas of each of those roles that I enjoyed, there were some common themes of where I like to cause transformation that let me understand what my strengths are, what my superpowers are, and what areas of work are actually in my genius zone, right? So taking that tiny step to take that stock, brainstorm what it is that you like and don't like. Maybe it's a 2-column document, maybe it's sticky notes on the wall. Just trust yourself, right, on how you feel about your work so far, right? Where you're being pulled, even if you don't know how you're going to do it. The how isn't as important in this particular stage. It's just about trusting your curiosity and following your nose down that rabbit hole of curiosity, rather than having, these solid, permanent outcomes that may be fuzzy right now, right? So that's the first key and the first step to defining the work you want to do. The second key to creating your dream business is to know that finding your thing doesn't actually feel perfect in the beginning. How many of you guys that are listening live right now feels like you can't make a move on starting your dream business unless you had the perfect business idea? I certainly felt that way after years of contemplation of leaving my corporate job, because I was waiting for that Gandhi moment. I was waiting for that big purposeful idea to land on my lap and give me permission to start. But the truth is, you can't keep waiting for the perfect idea to start, because it doesn't exist. And everyone I've ever coached, everyone I've ever interviewed about, starting businesses, this was never the reality of what got them to start in the first place. There was no perfect idea. Because the real truth is that it is through imperfect action is where clarity is born. When we take imperfect action, we are opening up the door for new answers to come into our reality. Because what you might anticipate is your dream business may not be even what you imagined until you took the first step to explore the right for right now idea, right? Okay, I'm kind of interested in this. Let's see where this might lead me. Right? Or doing a bit of research of, hey, I'm thinking of doing this. Is there anyone out there that might be doing that too? And let me explore the way they do it and where that sits with me and how I may want to do it differently. And so going through any action to start following your nose down that rabbit hole of curiosity is going to lead you to much better clarity, because you're not waiting for that perfect answer. Instead, you are creating that perfect answer, right? Perfect idea for yourself, right? There is an exploration process that a lot of people ignore because they want to go from just ideation to launch. And that feels like what everyone else might be teaching out there, that if you get all these launch techniques, a website, a social media channel, right, all these sorts of hooky ways to what you believe is what a real business is, that jump is a large jump. And a lot of people get really stuck in ideation mode because there's a missing stage. It's missing stages, really, to go from ideation to launch. And one of those stages is about exploration and what I call the sort of beta testing self-internship stage. You know, when we were younger, in our early 20s, when we graduated from college or attended university, right, it was not uncommon for us to have internships. We did it with a smile. We did it willingly because we were told this is normal. Everyone else does it too. And so we go into an internship as a way to explore which area of this industry best interests me. We shadow different types of people in the workplace to find where we stand with our vocation, right? And that was very telling through experience, through that experiential internship, what we like and what we don't like about which area of the industry we want to start building our careers around. And a business is no different. You are starting something for the first time. It might be still what you might used to have done in a version of that, but you're still doing something in a new capacity. And so as adults, we've lost the art of internship. We've lost the art of exploration and playfulness of exploring skills, exploring our passions. And so one of those missing stages to go from idea to launch is actually this exploration stage of actually not doing the shiny, glitzy things of a website, a social channel, and so forth, and actually getting good at the work, getting good at helping people, seeing how we do help, and using other humans as little guinea pigs, just like I did in my first time of coaching in a business, to just even know if coaching was the thing I wanted to do, because I didn't want to be a therapist, and I was way too blunt to be a therapist. So what area of this therapeutic work could I be doing? And finding my style of how I wanted to help people could not have been done unless I gave myself a self-made internship, right? And so one of the things that you want to consider, especially when launching a business feels really daunting, is where can I give myself spaciousness to do some of this exploration by talking to people about my business idea, talking to people whether or not the problem I want to solve is meaningful and needed in the world, talking to people about what they go through if they wanted to do this one thing that you know how to help them do, but what are they currently struggling with? And not making assumptions to what you think other people need, but actually speaking to real humans that have those problems you want to solve, and learning to use feedback and human insight as a way to inform you on how you might design that business, how you might design that offer in order to hit the mark, that is something that people will pay for. Right? And that is going to help you decide what is the right for right now business. And the right for right now business is not permanent. It feels more flowy. It feels more easier to start because what's right for right now is truthful to who you are today. It's not who you will be in 20 years or even a year or 5 years time. It's what you're most capable of with the skill set and knowledge and experience you currently have today that is also matching right? In that sweet spot of what the world needs, what people are seeking for or actively seeking for that they would willingly pay, right, for you to help them to do. And if you can find that balance of that marriage of what you like to do, you don't have to love it, you can like to do it. And where you can love it is sort of coming up with your own creativity of how you help and the way you might help and who you help and, you know, the ripple effect of what happens when you help people with this one problem. That can give you meaning and purposeful. And eventually you'll start to craft how you love it. But liking it, just liking it to start is good enough. It's good enough. And if you're capable to do it, it doesn't take you so much energy and effort to give that gift to others. That is very likely the good enough idea, the right for right now idea to get started. Okay. If that resonates with you, please let me know in the chat box. Right for right now business rather than the perfect idea that allows me to get started. Okay. All right. The third key to creating a dream business for yourself is to really consider that your genius zone matters to designing a business of your dreams. And what is a business of your dreams? A business of your dreams is purposeful and it's also profitable, right? And in order to be profitable, you need to like what you do. People need to see that you're motivated to do what you do. And there's a real reason why, right? There's a purposeful story that you can tell of why this matters to you, that the only purpose is not just to make money, because that's not going to be an energizing why for why people might support your work, but also how your work can cause an impact and a difference in some bigger causes that you care about in the world, right? So for me, it's very obvious to see, oh yeah, Lydia helps people leave corporate and start a business, and she might give how-tos on how to start that meaningful business. But the personal why that I like to share a lot is that I do believe that everyone has a unique gift and a way to share it, even if there's other people that do what you do. And if you can discover what that is and make work less of a clock in, clock out activity and something that is sort of work you, and then you have a separate me you or a personal you, right? And you have to take the mask on and off all the time. It's not a way to live. And also, I know lifestyle choices really matter to people's happiness, because how can we merge life and work together so that we feel that our personal life is being benefited from our careers as well? There's an alignment rather than a disconnection. And so when that happens, if I'm helping people to create that balance, right, through those things that I do, there's a ripple effect, right? Happier people do better work and more people get impacted, right? If more families can stay together and mothers can stay at home and actually raise their babies and not freak out about whether or not their jobs will be taken away if they get on mat leave, that is going to just build healthier families. So there are just ripple effects of things that actually motivate you as a business owner to do what you do. And when people can see that energy that comes through your topics, how you perform or deliver those topics and content, they then will be on board with that why and will choose you versus other people that might do what you do, right? So having that story of knowing your why, right, which is part of your who you are, really, really matters. But also knowing how you're designing that business to give your gifts in a way that feels like you, right, that is in line with your strengths, your values, and your personality type, is going to ensure that you're actually going to get up in the morning and do that work. Because there's no paint by numbers way to launch a business, right? Your business is very personal to you. How you design your offer, like there's so many ways to design an offer, right? What sort of audience is the right soulmate client for you? You're not just like we don't date everyone on the planet. You are not going to work with everyone because there's some people more suitable for you than others. And one of the key things of not having a business you end up hating is to actually start choosing people that are the best people to work with so that they don't disagree with your philosophies. They're actually bought into your philosophies from the get-go because they share similar values to you. You're also going to work with people that get your personality type. Like, my guys, my people, my girls, right, are people that actually really love to look internally and look at business as a way of a therapeutic way, to become who they really are. And they're not afraid to go through that journey. They don't want the paint by numbers way. They want that meaningful way of building their business on a personal level so that it feels like it's something they are building rather than copying somebody else and falling out of love with it down the road, right? So they are willing to do that work and therefore are a better fit for me, right? So I don't have to convince them that this is the better work to do, more meaningful way to do something, because they're in agreement to that. And so that matters for you as well, right? In getting that right and knowing who you want to help, how you want to help, and your style of helping, right? I work with a lot of introverts. 80% of my clients are introverts, and it's really important to them not to just do work in any way, right? They're very different from extroverts and ambiverts. They are people that are well thought through in their thoughts and ideas. They need time to think and listen. They are huge in their capabilities of research. And the way that they deliver work needs to be in alignment with that, right? So things like live streams don't do well with them. So if I force them to do a live stream for marketing, they're not going to do it. And they're going to feel nervous, and it's going to show, and it's not going to be operating in their genius zone. So tactics and strategies that we might choose for someone who's introverted or like to build relationships and connect to people in a different way will look very different in the way that they market and build an audience, right? So knowing those foundations, knowing what works for you in a business model, which is not just about your profit margins and revenue streams, is really about how you show up in that work and how you design the work that really matters in being profitable. Because if you enjoy the work, you're doing good work, you're impacting the right people, then you're going to be profitable because all those things are in alignment. So I always say that alignment is better than speed, because what's the point of going somewhere faster if it's not somewhere you want to go, right? It's not logical. It's insanity. So taking that necessary pause to design your business intentionally first from the get-go, especially when you first start a business, is going to allow you to enjoy your work and also live the kind of lifestyle that you want, because you want to think about that too. You want to think about how your business gives you the space, gives you the way that you want to work to then enjoy the things you care about, whether it's spending time with family, whether it's having more hobbies, whether it's being more of a global citizen like me and traveling more often. Not these days, but most days I am. My business is intentionally designed to support that lifestyle model, right? So there's things that I will not say yes to because it won't allow me to do it that way, right? There's things that I will say a hell yes to because it's fully in alignment with my lifestyle choices, right? It makes that GPS of deciding on how I market, what I offer, who I work with, et cetera, much more easily when I've thought about that from the get-go. Okay? All right. The fourth key to creating your dream business today that I want to share with you is that starting small and starting a side hustle idea is going to let you build confidence to turn that side hustle idea into a full-time gig. So if you're like me, you likely don't want to jump off the cliff and hope the parachute opens. I am certainly not that person. I am someone that has calculated risk tendencies. I still do. 7 years as being an entrepreneur. And this is my way and probably will never change. And I like to embrace that taking risks for me is taking tiny actions and taking imperfect actions, but moving and progressing forward anyway, right? Despite the fear. However, most of us that sort of hold ourselves back from starting anything at all is because we have a vision of what a business looks like and what a launch looks like, that we scare ourselves silly into doing this launch of a business. So that's why I like to kind of minimize that risk of launching into something like a side hustle project, because it's something that you can do while you're still in your full-time job, where you're still feeling secure financially in your earning, right? Until you get safer in your savings and, what I call saving for your cushion pot, right? What do you need for living your life in the baseline level? Until you get all those sort of different buckets sorted for yourself, a side hustle is a much more flexible way that doesn't say to you, you got to quit your job immediately and just go into the deep end, right? Which is going to scare the crap out of you. And then that fear is going to overtake your capability to try new things, to explore new things that you really, really want to do. So a side hustle allows you to really explore all the things that we talked about today in the beginning, right? Which is that, is this business idea for me? How do I know? Well, I've got to work with some people, and I don't have to wait till I launch a business to do that. I can actually start working with people without a website, without doing all the things that I think I have to do that are shiny and glitzy, but actually just start to genuinely help other humans, right? So when you do that in a small scale, it lets you to explore and experiment with the right business to start before you sort of jump in with both feet, right? And so one of the things I'm going to teach you guys, if you guys sign up for next week's Create Your Dream Business Challenge, right, is how do we look at ideas, creative ways to actually start exploring the work we want to do, start exploring these different business models that we want to start and seeing how they, it's like trying on a coat, trying it on for size about whether or not that fits who I am, whether or not that fits the life that I'm truly trying to craft for myself. And we don't need to do it, like I said, with these sort of complicated ways of launching a business. We can do it today with the assets that we have. And the asset is us. If we exist and we are willing to show up for people right now, you can start a side hustle, right? You can start helping people today. And through that testing, through that, nurturing your skills, mastering your skills, working with people in a side hustle project, is going to build your resilience for change. It's going to build your confidence to jump in with both feet eventually, because in the side hustle stage of testing and exploring, you're going to start to see how you can build your audience in a holistic, slow way, but a more meaningful way, right? Inviting the right people to your business and to your ideas. You're going to gain experience working with people in your side hustle before you start to say, hey, this is the offer that I want to sell and I want to charge money for it. You've built yourself this internship that we talked about to test it out, to work with real humans, and the bonus, getting some early reviews, getting some early testimonials to build social proof for a new audience that will be paying for your work. And most importantly, you're building financial stability before you start to quit your job, because you want a few clients under your belt. You want to see how you will be getting clients on a consistent level, how you're going to be marketing yourself and putting your vision out there in the world beforehand, before you do any major changes in your life. And you're building the security step by step for yourself, which I think is a very important place, right, of taking that leap, kind of like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If our basic survival necessities aren't taken care of, right, where we feel that we can have a roof over our head, where we feel that our family is going to keep loving us, where we feel that we can put food on the table and build security for ourselves, we're never going to get to the next stage of actualization, right? Which is the following our passions, being who we are, being the authentic expression of what we want to share with the world, right? That next step of creativity and curiosity. So side hustles allow us to deal with our basic needs, right? Of being financially stable, whether it's continuing with our full-time job and bringing in some income on the side. And that's just going to help us to build that muscle, right, of being brave enough and bold enough to find, when we reach a particular threshold or goal with our side hustle, we can then go, yep, there we go. We are in the next stage of launching this business, and I can see why I should be quitting my job, because things are working for me. Things are progressing forward for me, right? So bravery isn't something you just have. And boldness isn't something you just are, you wake up one day and feel it. It is through these tiny actions. It is through these imperfect actions of building your resilience and confidence with tiny little projects, tiny ideas to start. That is actually what truly matters in starting your dream business and growing your dream business. Okay, despite technical difficulties today, I hope that you had a chance to join me and to gain some value from watching this little mini workshop today. And if you would love to dive deeper into what that looks like in going from idea to launch, going from a someday dream, a fuzzy idea, to actually giving some structure and detail into how you intentionally design your own dream business, do come and join me for my free 5-day live challenge, right? Create Your Dream Business Challenge. You can go to my website, screwthecubicle.com/challenge. And you can sign up for free and join me on Monday. We start on February 15th. And each day I will go live in our private Facebook group. There's going to be a chance for me to coach you personally. You'll be able to participate with other people. And I think when we do it with a community together, you feel less alone, because you're not meant to launch a business alone. You're meant to do it together. And you're meant to do it while relying on other people to support you to do this while you support others, right? It's always easier for us to support others because we're not emotionally attached to them. But as we support other people, we're also kind of gaining some of that wisdom we share with other people, with ourselves. So if you would like to come and join our fun challenge and start to really imagine and design the right business for you. What's right for right now for you to start? How does the business look like, and what you should get started with? And what is your work? What is that real purposeful work you're meant to do? And when I say meant to do, is what's right for right now for you to do. We're going to discover that together in our 5-day challenge. So the description underneath this video will have a link there, or as I said, go to screwthecubicle.com/challenge. And someone just said in the chat box, that's a nice background. Yeah, it's my backyard, and it's not a Zoom background. I know a lot of people ask this, like, is that an image? It's real. It's not a green screen. That's the sort of beauty of living in the tropics, is that you always have some really beautiful, lush, jungly backgrounds to have, especially on things like a video these days. Okay, well, thank you for joining me live. Sorry for the technical difficulties today and getting on here late, but I promise I'll be doing more of these in the upcoming weeks. So again, if you're not part of the community here on YouTube, do hit subscribe and the notification button, because I do produce some great videos on here, especially for you every single month, including a fan favorite, which is the Corporate Escape Stories interviews, where I come and bring you awesome stories of, people just like you that took their leap and how they did it. We don't just talk about their success stories. We talk about the choices and the decisions and the ups and downs of all these conscious choices they've had to make in order to create their own version of success and their own version of what a meaningful business feels like for them. Thank you so very much for joining me today. I hope to see you at next week's 5-day challenge. And thank you for taking time out of your day to spend some time with me. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.